Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 27th of December, now it's 11 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me make several important announcements. One is about my channel on Rumble. Unfortunately, yesterday I was unable to upload video on Rumble. I guess there was some technical issue on the platform. I did try like 10 times to upload yesterday's update, but it didn't work. Hopefully today there will be no technical issues, but in any case, if you are watching this update on YouTube, please consider to subscribe on my channel, on my Rumble channel. You can see link under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. Our community on Rumble did reach 1930 and we only need 70 new members to reach 2000. So hopefully we'll manage to do so before New Year. Please, if it's not too difficult and if you have time for this little manipulation on a smartphone or on a computer, please subscribe to my channel on Rumble. I remind you that after 2nd of January I will resume exclusive program on Rumble, Telegram reports, and in 2024 I will definitely try to concentrate on development of Rumble channel, and I'll try to create additional exclusive content because I believe our project has future on Rumble when I'm not so sure about YouTube. So that's one topic, one significant technical issue for our project. And second is huge, dear friends. Second is huge because today we will have a guest on live stream, which will take place 10 o'clock Moscow time. 10 o'clock Moscow time, and our guest today gonna be military expert, geopolitical analyst, voice of reason in this very strange times, Andrei Martyanov. I'm 100% sure majority of our community gonna be happy to hear that Andrei Martyanov will participate in our program. I have tons of questions to ask, but he has very busy schedule. We only will have like 40-45 minutes for interview, and I will try to pack this time with as many questions as possible, because of course his opinion is very interesting, and I'm looking forward for that conversation. So 10 o'clock today Moscow time, 10 o'clock afternoon or evening today Moscow time, interview with Andrei Martyanov. I'm extremely grateful to Andrei for finding time in his extremely busy schedule to participate in our live stream. So this is big. This is definitely big deal for our project. So yes, looking forward to this interview. And now let's talk about news. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to a report from Russian Defense Ministry about previous 24 hours that I did share on my Telegram, as a result of local scale skirmishes, artillery duels between the sides, drone wars, and all type of activities, Ukrainian forces lost up to 700 military personnel killed and wounded just in previous 24 hours. And that was reported by Russian Defense Ministry, which is usually very conservative in its estimates, and we did see this conservatism quite a few times. So well, even though there are no crucial changes on line of contact, activities are taking place. These local scale clashes are very severe, and Ukrainian forces basically are crumbling all along the front line. During the night, Russian side conducted yet another wave of drone and missile strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Kiev regime. Strikes were conducted in direction of Odessa region. Kiev controlled regions of Ukraine like Odessa, Dnipropetrovsk, Vinnytsia, Khmelnytsky, and several others. I believe many warehouses with the weapons, munition of Ukrainian armed forces and airfields were targeted during the day. Russian Defense Ministry will probably share with us additional information about strikes previous night. And that's it when it comes to short summary. As I said, even though there are quite intense local scale skirmishes, clashes between the sides, there are no crucial changes on the map itself. Main hotspots at this point are still Krinky area in Kherson direction, this small foothold that Ukrainian forces are still trying to hold on to. On South Donetsk direction, it's Novomikhailivka, which is, I guess, a matter of days and then will become under full Russian control. In Zaporozhye sector, Rabotina area, and according to some military channels, Russian forces did improve position so much so in Rabotina direction that now it's a matter of days, possibly, and Ukrainian forces will be forced to withdraw from this area, maybe even before New Year. And I remind you, dear friends, that during the so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive, which began on 4th of June, all they managed to achieve on Zaporozhye sector, which was one of the main axes of this counteroffensive, all they managed to achieve is establish control over this one village, Rabotina, and that's it, and several fields, man, in between Rabotina and Verbovo. And now they are losing this village, and according to military channels, Russian forces probably will regain control over that settlement before New Year. And also another village that all of you are familiar, I believe, it's Pitikhatki on the western side of Orekhov Bridgehead. And Pitikhatki is in a gray zone. It's not even controlled by Kiev regime because there's nothing to control there. Entire village is erased from face of the earth. And that area that used to be this village of Pitikhatki is in a gray zone when it's open terrain now and nothing to hold on to. And periodically, recon groups of both sides are conducting operations in that settlement. And that was it, what Kiev regime managed to achieve during that counteroffensive in Zaporozhye sector. And they are now losing even this little ground that they managed to establish control on. By sacrificing dozens of brigades, last remnants of strategic reserve of Ukrainian army. Anyway, let's continue about new South Donetsk sector. I did said it's Novomikhailivka, main hotspot, although several channels do report still that Staromayorsk and Urozhaina may become at any time, any day may become under Russian control on Vremovsky salient area, because Ukrainian units, majority of Ukrainian units are not even presented in that villages. It's just small groups that left, and entire this Vremovsky salient area is now gray zone. I guess it's not a main task for Russian forces at this point to rush developments in Vremovsky salient area. Otherwise, I guess those settlements already will be under Russian control. That does not have a strategic meaning, and therefore we did not see like huge activities in this direction at this point. When it comes to Donetsk sector of the front line, of course, main hotspot is Avdiivka. Few days ago, we had a report from Russian Defense Ministry that Marinka on the southern flank of Donetsk sector is under full Russian control now, and Russian forces, of course, will concentrate attention on Krasnogorovka and Georgievka directions. And yesterday, Zaluzhny, head of general staff of Ukraine, basically confirmed indirectly, but he confirmed that Marinka is under full Russian control. And what is very interesting, yesterday Zaluzhny also spoke about Avdiivka, and he said that for him, or for general staff, main point is to secure safe manpower, which is something new. You never hear these kind of statements from political leadership of Ukraine, because they definitely don't care. And they prove it by sacrificing dozens of brigades in Bakhmut area while the Russian forces were conducting Bakhmut operation. And now Zaluzhny is openly stating that their main goal is to save as many lives as possible. So they will conduct military operations when it's suitable, and they will withdraw when it demands some immense number of casualties to maintain positions, which is a very different approach from we hear before from Kiev. And well, I did interpret Zaluzhny's words as preparation of the ground to withdraw from Avdiivka and several other key points on line of contact, because Zaluzhny openly said that it will take maybe months, maybe 2, maybe 3, but Russian forces will eventually establish control over the Avdiivka anyway. And in Avdiivka will happen what happened in Bakhmut. And by saying this, of course, Zaluzhny pointed out at Zelensky, who was a person who did not allow general staff to withdraw units and not to continue this useless fight for Bakhmut when they did not have any chance. So by making this statement, Zaluzhny killing two rabbits, let's say, simultaneously. One is preparing ground and preparing public for inevitable liberation of Avdiivka by Russian forces and withdrawal of Ukrainian forces in this settlement. And same time, he is making shots in direction of Zelensky, political shots. Let's see how will Zelensky and his associates react on this statements of Zaluzhny. But at this point, no crucial changes on Avdiivka direction. Russian side is increasing pressure on regular basis, and there are so many talks nowadays that Ukrainian units will gonna withdraw from this area. That well, things may change very rapidly at any point. Even today, I mean, this morning. There is no information about some crucial changes on Avdiivka direction, but this afternoon, for example, things may change so fast that this afternoon we may receive information that Ukrainian units began to withdraw from Avdiivka. And I would not be surprised at all if that will happen. When it comes to Bakhmut direction, no crucial changes, but it's Russian forces that are on this local scale offensive. They are improving positions on daily basis and increasing pressure on Ukrainian forces, and basically preparing ground for inevitable large-scale offensive operations in direction of Konstantinovka, Chisov Yar. When it comes to Seversk, Russian forces are very active from southern flank of Seversk, from northern flank of Seversk. On the southern flank, main hotspots are, of course, Veselaya settlement and Razdolovka, and on the northern flank, Terny settlement, Yampolovka, Novosadove. Russian forces basically are in several kilometers away from Zherebets river in this area, and I guess Ukrainian general staff already are working on the plans to withdraw their forces from these settlements towards the right bank of the Zherebets river. And of course this forestry, Serbianka forestry, is constantly hotspot and disputed area. It's a huge forestry, as you can see, and it's constantly point of clashes between Russian and Ukrainian forces, like Belagorovka settlement on the eastern part of Seversk. So Russian side increasing pressure little by little, step by step, but increasing pressure on Seversk direction also. And Give it 3-4 weeks and we may begin seeing some significant changes in this direction. And when it comes to Kupiansk direction, main hotspots still are Sinkovka village, and sites are still continuing to fight for this settlement. Although I'm quite sure there is no point to expect any crucial changes in Kupiansk direction until large-scale Russian offensive begins late January, in my opinion, or early February next year. And this is it for a short summary. As I said, no crucial changes on the line of contact, although these local scale clashes are very intense. And according to Russian Defense Ministry's report yesterday, report about previous 24 hours, Ukrainian forces lost up to 700 military personnel during this local scale skirmishes. Let's see what will be reported by Russian Defense Ministry today afternoon in daily briefings. And now let's talk about some other news. Yesterday, Shoigu had a meeting with the leadership of Russian armed forces, and he did make several interesting, important statements during this meeting, which during the part of the meeting that was open for the public, and he said that Russian armed forces achieved main goal for 2023, which was a defeat of highly advertised by Western ruling class and Western media and Kyiv regime, this Ukrainian counteroffensive, and Russian side very successfully defeated this counteroffensive. These dozens of Ukrainian brigades that were trained by NATO military, equipped by NATO member states, did not even manage to breach first line of defense of Russian armed forces. They did not even manage to breach first line of defense. Closest they become to the first line is in Verbova area, in the fields between Verbova and Rabotina, when in some videos we did see dragon teeth on frontal side of this first line, and that's it. Ukrainian forces never managed to breach this first line of defense. Only little success they had is control over the Rabotina, one village in Zaporozhye sector of the front line, and several villages like Staromayorskoye, Urozhaina, and a few others on Vremevsky salient, and that's it. And for these absolutely irrelevant areas, in strategical terms, Kyiv regime sacrificed its last strategic reserves, its most capable brigades that they had. And I remind you, dear friends, that according to Russian Defense Ministry, since the beginning of that so-called counteroffensive on June of 4th, Kyiv regime or Ukrainian armed forces lost more than 160,000 military personnel. In last 6 months only, they lost more than 160 military personnel killed and wounded, and thousands of pieces of military equipment. So yes, nobody can, in this case, argue with Shoigu that Russian side quite successfully defeated this Ukrainian counteroffensive. And I remind you, dear friends, that Russian forces had many other successful operations also, Solidar, Bakhmut, settlements around these cities. So it was a very intense year in terms of military operation, special military operation. And despite the fact that Russia is conducting the using strategy of active defense, Russian forces managed to gain control over the significant areas. Really, just imagine what Russian forces will do once they will begin conducting large-scale offensive operations. And it will happen. One day it will happen. It all depends on general staff, of course, of Russian Federation. And I believe once Russian generals will realize that Ukrainian armed forces are basically collapsing, and they lost capabilities to put up severe fighting for Zelensky and his criminal associates. That will be exactly time when Russian forces will begin large-scale offensive operations to make sure that casualty numbers are as low as possible, and damage on the ground to infrastructure is also as minimal as possible. Because after all, it's Russia that's gonna rebuild, and Russian citizens that gonna rebuild everything that was destroyed as a result of these clashes. Not the Western states. So Western states don't care about it. Russia cares. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that yesterday, a press spokesman of Russian President Dmitry Peskov spoke to journalists and said that Defense Minister Shoigu informed Russian President about Ukrainian strike on Feodosia, where Novocherkassk amphibious landing ship of Russian Navy was hit and damaged, destroyed. I guess it's possible to rebuild this vessel, but if damage is too severe, then maybe it will be cheaper to build new one but we don't have precise information on the level of damage on that ship, so it's hard to tell. But President of Russian Federation was informed about this strike of Kiev regime. Peskov was asked about it, and journalists were informed that Putin knows what is going on line of contact and what kind of actions Kiev regime is conducting. Of course, unfortunate development with this Novocherkassk warships, but this is a high-intensity military conflict. This is high-intensity military conflict between Russia and proxy of the Western ruling class, which is armed by NATO and trained by NATO. So unfortunately, incidents like that can occur and do occur. But yet again, no criticism. I have no criticism for air defense systems of Russian army. They do best they can to shut down as many aerial targets as possible, and they are very effective. They are very effective. Just a few days ago, I did reported that since the beginning of special military operation, Russian air defense systems shut down more than 10,000 drones, for example. Can you imagine what kind of damage those drones could do if Russian air defense systems didn't shut down those drones? And hundreds of missiles were shut down, hundreds of other aerial targets, planes, helicopters, and so on. So it's hard to criticize air defense systems. Unfortunately, this one, or I don't even know how many missiles did hit this warship. There is no information about it on the media at this point. But unfortunately, yesterday early morning, one of these missiles did manage to pass through air defense systems and target this ship this vessel in the Feodosia area. But let's continue. Point here is that Western ruling class, Western media loves to speculate that Putin is not informed, Putin don't know what's going on in the front line and so on. And I guess Peskov was asked, just because of these speculations in the West, he was asked if Putin is informed about this strike on Feodosia direction, and he said that yes, Shoigu informed Russian president about it. RIA Novosti is reporting that Zaluzhny dismiss statements of Zelensky, and this is another indicator when another step from Zaluzhny to confront openly Zelensky. So he basically dismissed statements of Zelensky that he demanded from him, from President of Ukraine, 500,000 people to be mobilized. So he said this is not true. And the military leadership of Ukraine never makes such a demand from political leadership of the country. I don't know what the hell is going on in the Kiev. Lately, this confrontation between Zelensky's camp, Zaluzhny's camp, and Budanov's camp did become too obvious for everybody. And at this point, I guess these people are making some statements to, to gain some political points and to hurt their opponents. That's maybe main driving force for these individuals at this point. Hard to tell, really, but one will definitely get this by monitoring this news flow from Kiev regime, from Ukraine. One may definitely have impression that something dodgy is happening there. Something is in preparations, and soon enough some significant change is gonna take place, because this type of open debates or confrontations between military and political leadership of Ukraine we did not see in 2021, 2022, and the best half of the 2023, just last several weeks, since this famous statement of Zaluzhny that there is a stalemate on the front line. Only after that we did began seeing open confrontation between these camps. Before that, there was rumors, but well, after that statement of Zaluzhny in an interview of one of the Western media outlets, Economist or Times, I don't even remember to which newspaper he did give an interview, but once he openly said that it's a stalemate, all hell broke out in Kiev, and these camps began openly targeting each other. So this statement of Zaluzhny, exactly that. He is trying to basically harm reputation of Zelensky. He is, this statement is for public, because otherwise, to say that, he is trying to highlight that Zelensky is a liar, basically. So of course this is a political statement, that has nothing to do with the current military developments in the front line. Although same time Zaluzhny did mention that yes, armed forces do need more manpower, more weapons, and so on, but he did not make a demand on 450 or 500,000 people to be mobilized, as Zelensky is saying now. And this statement is quite understandable. Sorry, I spent too much time on this topic, but this statement of Zaluzhny quite understanding, because this mobilization is extremely unpopular in Ukraine. And by saying that it's Zelensky's idea, not my idea, of course he wants to gain some additional political points in the public. To shift blame or attention towards Zelensky, that it's his fault. It's he and his people that are conducting this cruel mobilization and kidnappings and so on. Not me. That's what Zelensky is trying to do, and that's why he's almost as popular as, if not more, and I guess he's even significantly more popular than Zelensky is. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Financial Times, European Union discussing now Plan B to finance Kiev regime, after Hungary blocked this attempt of Brussels to allocate 50 billion euros for 2024-2027 time frame for Kiev regime. And now Brussels basically conducting negotiations with the individual states, member states of EU, and demanding that those states will guarantee certain amount of money, and under guarantees of these states, Brussels will borrow 20 billion and will send these funds to Kiev regime. You tell me how crazy is that, man? You tell me how crazy is that? The Brussels now borrowing money to continue financing Kiev regime. When societies in Europe gonna act on this madness of the bureaucracy, Brussels bureaucracy, or leadership of their own countries, man? But 20 billion euro, it sounds huge, of course. It sounds huge, but if you take in account that Kiev regime fully dependent on Western finances, and without it, system in the Ukraine, state institutions probably will collapse in a month or two. Then, well, one may say that even if Brussels manages to force EU member states to issue some guarantees for some sums, and if even Brussels will manage to borrow these 20 billion euros and send to Kiev regime, it's just for several months. That's all it is. These 20 billion euros will be enough for several months, 2, 3, and what next? What next? US may approve, if not 61 billion, then 30 or 40. Okay, and that will help Kiev regime to stay on the surface another, let's say, several months, because US aid is very different. Because US aid, significant part of US aid is meant to be in terms of military support, and that sums eventually will end up anyway in the US, in the bank accounts of US military industrial complex and corrupt politicians. When Ukraine needs funds to pay salaries to more than a million people every single month, nothing to be said about some social guarantees that Kiev regime has on him to pay pensions, to pay other social payments, and that will attribute for another millions and millions of people. So that's why I'm saying, even if Brussels will manage to send 20 billion, and these 20 billion is supposed to be from 2024, 2027, I remind you, man. And this is not enough, not even enough for several months. That's how bad situation, economical and financial situation of Kiev regime is, and that's why many politicians are saying that Ukraine as a state is non-existent. This entity exists only because of the Western financial aid. Take that aid out, take that aid away, and Ukraine will collapse. State institutions will run no longer because there will be no funds to finance it, to pay salaries, to do anything at all in the state. But let's see how will things develop. RT is reporting that Israel is to ramp up military spendings. Well, and this was reported on Bloomberg. Also, let's read several sentences here. Israel is likely to boost its military spending by more than 8 billion next year as the war in Gaza continues, Bloomberg reported on Monday. According to Finance Ministry documents presented to Parliament, Israel's overall 2024 budget will amount to 562 billion shekels, 155 billion US dollars, compared to 513 billion shekels in a previously approved spending plan. Defense expenses will reportedly increase by at least 30 billion shekels next year. Their estimate highlights their high price of war, which is costing Israel at least 269 million a day, and is expected to hit the economy harder than previous conflicts, according to recent estimates by rating agency Moody's. Well, that's quite a quite a number, isn't it? 269 million USD in a day. That's a cost for Israeli army. Any war is a costly, of course, in every sense. First of all, in terms of human losses and humanitarian, and of course also in terms of financial costs. But Israel is a rich country; it can afford this. It can afford this confrontation. Main thing is world community to be more proactive and to do better to persuade these conflicting sides to begin negotiations. That's the best way to go. But unfortunately, at this point, we only see indicators of further escalation, not the escalation. RT is reporting that Yemen's Houthis claim responsibility for another attack on the Red Sea, on another ship. Yemen's Houthis said on Tuesday that they had fired missiles at cargo ship in the waters of the Red Sea after it ignored repeated warnings messages. The Houthis have been shooting all allegedly Israeli-linked vessels for weeks. Mediterranean shipping company confirmed that one of the vessels have been fired upon, identifying it as the MSC United 8, en route to Karachi, Pakistan, from King Abdullah Port in Saudi Arabia. According to MSC, the incident happened at approximately 3:25 a.m. local time. So I don't know why Houthis fired at this ship if this ship was moving towards Karachi, towards Pakistan, not towards Israel. But I don't know, man. I was from very beginning quite critical of these actions of Houthi rebels because fire on the direction of civilian warships cannot be justified. It's a crime. It's a crime in my understanding, and one may only hope that this situation will be somehow resolved, man. Iran will probably get involved at some point and use its influence on Houthis to calm things down and stop this craziness, man. Because why they fired ship that was moving towards Karachi? Why they fired at any ships, even if they are moving towards Israel? It's a civilian ship, isn't it? It may carry, I don't know, man, some food for civilian Israelis. And why are you gonna fire on a ship that carries food for civilian Israelis? Why? How you are any better than Netanyahu's government if you don't care about civilians? Anyway, man, I know number of our community members of our community are disagree on my take on these Houthi activities, but it's okay. We can have different opinions. We should have different opinions, man. We are not some programs, isn't it? In a matrix, we are human beings, and we cannot have a similar reading of picture in every case. Sometimes we may, sometimes we may not. RIA Novosti is reporting that Iran is threatened Israel with a response, with revenge after Israeli militaries killed Iranian general in Syria. Well, I spoke about this topic yesterday, and one may only hope that there will be no direct clashes between Israel and Iran, because it will be devastating for region, and it will be devastating for world. So I hope somehow Netanyahu's government will begin acting more adequately and stop provoking confrontation with Hezbollah, Lebanese Hezbollah, and Iran, and all its neighbors, basically, because actions of Netanyahu's government are provoking every neighbor of Israel at this point, and isolating Israel itself from the rest of the world, because with the exception of very few political leadership of countries worldwide, there is no support for actions of Israeli government. You know, so Israel is already isolated because of these criminal actions of Netanyahu and his government. And this is an issue for Israelis. If I was Israeli, I would be very, very, very critical of everything that Netanyahu does, man. And I will do everything to remove those criminals and mass murderers from office. And to put someone there that will at least try its best to regain some respect for Israel and, worldwide. Because nowadays, everybody sees Israel as a fascist state that kills civilians without any care. Which is very unfortunate, man. Very unfortunate. Okay, let's continue. RT is reporting that US launches airstrikes in Iraq. Well, yesterday there was reports that Iraqi Shiite militias fired drones at US military base, and several US servicemen were wounded. And as a retaliatory strike, US bombed the Kataib Hezbollah militias in Iraq. Well, I don't think this counter-strike gonna stop this not Houthi, but Shiite fighters to firing at US bases, but well, it is what it is, man. I said many times before, best Pentagon can do to save their military personnel is to withdraw them from Middle East, especially from Syria and Iraq. RT is reporting that Sweden is a step closer to NATO after Turkish legislator give a go ahead. The Turkish Parliament's Foreign Affairs Commission has considered to Sweden's bid to join NATO. The Foreign Affairs Commission of Turkey's Grand National Assembly, the nation's parliament, approved Sweden's NATO membership bid on Tuesday, following weeks of delays which put the expansion of the Western Bloc on hold. Well, government of Turkey did indicate quite a few times that some agreement have been reached and they will no longer block Swedish membership of the NATO. And well, this is now headache of the Swedish elites, really, because for whatever reason, I'm quite sure Swedish ruling class didn't really wanted Sweden to become NATO member state. After all, there was not even referendum on this question, and then they will talk about democracy, and people's will, when they didn't even ask their own society what they think about this crucial topic, because this is big. Now Sweden used to be a neutral state, and now they are becoming enemies of Russia openly. So it's a huge stuff. And I remind you, dear friends, that Russia and Sweden did had wars many times, and it never ended best way, or never ended well for Sweden. Yes, that's also a historical fact, and it will never end well for Sweden. Yes, that's also a historical fact that we will learn in the future. So yes, I mean, they should ask at least. I'm ironizing it. It's my way of humor. Unfortunately, I'm not really good at comedy. if I had any skills, man, in comedy, that would greatly help me to conduct these programs in a much more interesting way. But it is what it is, man. You know, comedy is very serious stuff. It's you have to be gifted with some comedic skills. But anyway, well, let's see how Swedish elites will react now, because I don't think they have any other option other than become open colony of the Washington. When they used to enjoy decades of this at least formal neutrality. RT is reporting that Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, did made quite interesting statements. According to him, Beijing will use any means to prevent the separation of Taiwan, adding that the island's reunification with the mainland is inevitable. The remarks came as a part of Xi Jinping's speech to the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China at a symposium marking 130th birthday of Mao Zedong, according to Xinhua news agency. If it will be a huge diplomatic victory on China's behalf if they will manage to somehow neutralize these destructive forces in Taiwan and around Taiwan, to further intensify political means to reunite mainland China and Taiwan, which is China also. I mean, Taiwan, unfortunately, significant part of world community don't even know that Taiwan is not independent state. Taiwan is China. And the only difference is that both governments, Taiwanese government and Chinese government, are claiming that they are legit governments. So Taiwanese government don't want independence from China. They won't control entire China because they say that we are true government of China, and they are descendants of Chiang Kai-shek and his forces who lost civil war in China against communists, and they flee to this island and establish military dictatorship on island, and they always were claiming that they are legit government, not the communists, but they. And in reality, worldwide, like 90%, 95% of countries in this world are recognizing Chinese current government as a legit, not one that in Taiwan. So, well, I'm quite sure Beijing will do anything to peacefully reunite mainland China and Taiwan, but question is, will they manage to neutralize these destructive forces that are operating in that region and are trying to prevent this reunification, peaceful reunification, and use Taiwan as a proxy against China? That's a question. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Putin did make a statement on during their meeting of leaders of Commonwealth of Independent States. He did make statement that trade in between the members of organization will intensify national currencies, which is one more, maybe small step, but still one more step towards further de-dollarization in this world. So yes, world is moving slowly but surely towards times when dollar no longer be major world currency. It will stay be reserve currency, but one of there among others. And once BRICS will come up with its own currency, then world will be in better place for sure. World will receive a breath of fresh air, because at this point, Washington, London and Brussels, they make life hard for everybody on this world, because they use this Western financial and banking system as a weapon against anybody, against individuals, against businesses, against countries, and it's not okay. And that's why this process of distancing from Western financial system is intensifying in gain momentum. TASS news agency is reporting that Lavrov will have a meeting today with the foreign minister of India and Subramaniam Jaishankar. Both foreign ministers are legendary, undoubtedly, and they will discuss, of course, many topics, Russian-Indian relationships, which is in a great place. But I believe there is a huge potential to further improve relationships between the countries, because I'm absolutely sure, 110 million %, that for economical, political, military, and every other ways of security for India and Russia, it's a top priority. It's supposed to be top priority to maintain increasingly good relationships and strategic partnership between Moscow and New Delhi. It's just it's number one. It's number one. I see India as a most important country for Russia. Most important country. Even though in trade-wise, economical relationships with China are like 4 times bigger in volume. Trade with India did reach 50 billion, with China 250 billion, so it's 4 or 5 times more in volume. But it's not just about business. It's some many other things also are coming to play, and that's why I believe India is strategic relationships with India supposed to be top priority for Russia. Absolutely. I mean, there can be no questions, and I am happy that India's leadership thinks very same way. They also see what I see, that for India's security and prosperity, strategic relationship with Russia is extremely important, and both countries are moving in this direction, which is great. Simultaneously trying to further improve relationships with China and other BRICS member states, of course. This strategic partnership between Russia and India never should be against anybody. It's just beneficial for both. That's all it. Always. TASS news agency, yes, did report that they will be meeting today, and 2 foreign ministers will discuss, of course, bilateral relations, of course, Middle East, conflict in Ukraine, BRICS, of course, and upcoming leadership of Russia in the BRICS in 2024. Russia will take a leading role in the BRICS, and BRICS summit will take place in Kazan, wonderful Russian city, capital of Tatarstan Republic. Wonderful city, man. You should check on the Google. Very modern and historical, and I mean it's a beautiful city. And well, BRICS summit will take place in Tatarstan, and well, all these topics will be discussed today. And before India's foreign minister, who is on 4-day visit in Russia, and he will visit St. Petersburg and Moscow. He also already had a meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, and during this conversation was mentioned that trade between Russia and India is record high, and economical activity cooperation is increasing in very rapid pace, and it's already surpassed 50 billion. Trade between 2 countries, which is as I said, record breaking. There was never such a high numbers, and I believe just give it to 5-10 years, and this number will increase twice, 3 times, if not more. India has a huge, I mean, enormous potential, man. India is a, you know, one of the, you know, major countries in this world in every possible sense, and it has immense potential. And I believe economical ties between Russia and India will only intensify, and trade will increase like twice, 3, 5 times. Just give it a time. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Novak, Novak is also deputy prime minister of Russian Federation, that specifically are oriented on energy sector. So according to him, in 2023, Russian oil supply to Europe will not exceed 4-5% from overall Russian export. So can you imagine, from Russian export, total export of oil, only 4-5% was directed to Europe. Although I'm quite sure, man, I'm quite sure another at least 15-20% also did go to Europe, but through third party, through hands of third party, who of course gain some interest on reselling Russian oil, isn't it? Significant interest. And eventually European states still receive Russian oil, but pay significantly more. Like, I don't know, 15-20% more, 30% more. It's each deal is different, but they did pay significantly more, isn't it? And that's one more indicator how devastating this current leadership of EU and European states, majority EU member states, are for their own countries and for their own economies and citizens. And also Novak, of course, did mention trade, global trade of Russian oil, and he said that major buyer of Russian oil is China, although India did become also major partner in this regard, and which is something new, because in previous years India was very rarely buying Russian oil, really, but now Indian companies did see opportunity. To buy Russian oil on the discount and then resell this oil or oil products, and both sides are benefiting. And also, dear friends, I believe it was political decision on part of New Delhi to support Russia. So maybe indirectly some messages have been sent from New Delhi to businesses that, you know what, Russia is our strategic partner. We may openly don't say much, but we have to support Russia, and we are encourage you to do business with Russia. Maybe that's what happened, and probably it is what happened, because they are open politics and there are politics behind the closed doors. And India definitely demonstrated in 2023 that it's a strategic partner for Russia, and Russia can trust India. New Delhi definitely proved this in 2023. There may was times when questions were raised if India will withstand this Western pressure, but they did, and they never turned their back on Russia. So that's why I'm saying, man, I believe in relationships between India and Russia, and I believe for both countries, for both nations, it's immensely important in every possible sense, including security, strategic security, to maintain closest possible relationships and the partnership. And that's been said, I will end this update now, if I may. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please consider to click that like button if you find this update interesting, and leave some comment about any topic you like. Sorry. And share video. I have a traditional ending, isn't it, for all the videos, and I forget line. So please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share this video with your friends on any of the platforms that you're active on. And if you think this channel, this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram is interesting, informative, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.